Hello guys, this is Ali from Lunch with E-commerce Villa, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about expansion to Europe through partnerships. We'll be discussing the advantages and disadvantages. How does the legislation look like? How does the process look like? And what are the best marketplaces to look in the Europe? And so many more with none other than Nick Planet, who is basically the partnership manager at HeroTex. He's also the webinar host as well. Built and he actually developed with his partner. He developed over 20 plus supplement brands in the Europe and is doing a lot of good stuff. So would love to know a bit more from his own words. Hi Nick, how are you doing?
Hey Oli, nice to meet you, man. So all good. Like I said, it's Wednesday, so I view the week as a mountain. I start climbing, so Wednesday is the peak. That's why I do the webinars at the podcast at the peak. So now is the peak. Now then we're gonna go down to the rest of the week. But you did a very good introduction with me. I'm the co-founder of Extreme Power Brands, which used to be a supplement business, which I exited a few years ago. Since then, I have rebranded that into a partnership agency network. So what we do is we help companies like brands and service providers to expand globally through partnerships. And one of the expertise that we do is Europe. I'm also running the partnership for Hello Tax, which is a VAT compliance software. And the VAT is the tax that you need to pay when you sell in Europe. So without VAT, you cannot even start selling on Amazon. So uh, I'm going to talk about that because personally, I was selling in Europe for 10 years. I've done all kind of stuff there, and many of my clients and partners are doing that right now. So I know all the tricks and the tips that would make your life easier. So, do you have any more questions, or I should tell everybody know what they need to know about Europe?
Awesome. I mean, first of all, if you can touch a bit about the supplement brand and the experience you had there, is it like was the supplement brand on Amazon and what were the
No,
marketplace?
we never sold on Amazon. But if I start talking about my supplements, we wouldn't have time for the other stuff. But I'll do it as quickly as possible. We started in like 2010. The first product was called Acai Berry. Acai Berry was the main product. It was a huge hit in the States. So we simply create our private label brand in the. We manufactured that in the UK and we sold that across Europe. We named our brand Acai Verde, which means green in Latin, green acai. And then our second product was called Extreme Power. And this is how I got the name for my company and my agency right now. And Power was a nitric booster. So we're very early, so spending like we're paying 1 cent per click on some countries on Facebook. So it was really early. We started with like 5K in like initial investment, me and the two other founders, and we got like 5 millions in revenue in 4 years just from reinvesting. We never sold on Amazon because Amazon we need to actually cut down the price on Amazon, so we did only D2C. And eventually we sold the businesses in like 2020 when the company were not doing very well at then, so we didn't get a huge payout. So that we didn't know anything about aggregators or M&A companies. So and then I was using Hellotax as a client, and I
Okay.
was asked by the founders when I sold the company if I would like to build a partner program for Hellotax and grow it and advise it, and that's how everything started. So Hellotax was my first client. Then some other companies told me, okay, can you help us with the partnership in the growth as well? And I said, okay. And I said, you guys gave me an idea. And I set up a partnership agency and network. So the idea of the partnership agency is to help e-commerce service providers to grow through partnerships by connecting with complementary services, growing without spending any money on marketing. So this is the best and the cheapest way to grow any business. And we also do that to help brands. If a brand would like to expand, they need a set of services. They
Yeah.
cannot do it by themselves. In theory, they can do that, but they need to watch probably 100 hours of videos on YouTube to learn all the insights. So by having the right partners, you save a lot of time and money, and that's what we do. And that's how it works. And obviously, few of my clients specialize in Europe, and Europe is a huge opportunity for a lot of companies because it's still early. So I think this is what we're going to talk about. Do you have any questions about Europe? And what do you know, by the way, for Europe? Besides that, it's a good vacation spot in the summer, in the winter as well, if you like
Yeah,
skiing.
absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, Nick, why you talked about the Europe. why does the actually seller who are doing good in the North America, they are doing good on Amazon.com, need to consider selling in Europe? Is it like they are going to find more profit or the competition is less?
I'll give you,
What is
I'll
really?
give, yeah, I'll give you a few reasons why they should consider. If we talk about
Yeah.
Amazon, this is very important for anybody who is selling in the US and he's not selling in Europe. Only 2% of the sellers who are selling on Amazon US are selling in the Audi markets in Europe. 2%, which means that
Okay.
98% of your competitors are not doing that. So it's still early now. Uh, I had a stats recently about the marketplace in Europe. I mean, it's so early that it's even crazy. People wouldn't believe that. And the other thing is, there is actually much less sellers in Europe, so it's less competitive.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have like less traffic, which means there is more growth to come in Europe. The other thing is, in Europe, I mean, the average order value is higher than the USA. The average order sales price in Europe is the highest in the whole world. So here you can actually sell like more expensive products, and this means more profit for you. And the other thing
Yeah.
is, a lot of people don't know, but the population of Europe is around 750 millions. 450
Okay.
millions of those are over 18. These are all potential buyers. In the USA, the total population is, I think, 330, 50, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure how many are over 18, but it's almost double what we have in the USA. So, double the number of customers, less competition, only 2% of your clients are selling here. So, you don't need more stats now. If you're selling in the USA, if you're doing well there, you should come here. I mean, it's no brainer. I mean, I would even say that you would be an idiot not to consider selling in Europe. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, Nick, how does the overall process look like? I mean, what are the options available if somebody is, let's say, is doing 1 million in the USA on Amazon, um, and he want to go to the Europe? Like, what would he need to do? He would need to, from the Amazon point of view, would then
Yeah, yeah,
need to
I'll
open a
tell
new
you
market?
exactly. Yeah. So let me just
Yeah,
tell you something. It's a wrong assumption that you need to do 1 million, in the States. Something
yeah,
that you need to do before you start selling in Europe is to do your product research. I have clients like
yeah,
Zone Guru and some other partners who provide product research for Amazon sellers. So what you can do is you can actually use the software to go and
yeah,
research the different marketplaces for different products and niches. And you'll be surprised that something like a product or a niche that it's hyper competitive in the USA is not as competitive in Europe. So something that you were not able to launch successfully in the States, you can do it in Europe. This is the one thing. Another thing is, you have a successful product in the USA. You would like to check
yeah,
the competition in Europe. You can use the software. You can see which markets are good for you. What's your competition? You can even see the average investment that you need to do in order to expand those markets. So you have the data. So the first thing is product research, because if you don't have a
yeah,
product, you wouldn't need anything else. I mean, you have nothing to sell. So this is the most important part: having the right product, doing the marketing research, and then of course doing the next steps. The next steps that you need to do are actually 5 steps that you need to consider when you're selling in Europe. So the first one is VAT, then is
yeah,
product compliance, then is fiscal representation in some markets, customs, logistics, and translation and localization. So the first thing that you need to do is, when you sell in Europe, is to check if you need to get if you need to get a certificate for your product in Europe, a
okay,
product compliance. So this is where the partners come in. Hello Tax just provides VAT, but I have partners
okay,
who provide the product compliance. So they're gonna check and they're gonna tell, hey man, you need to get a certificate. It's gonna take a few months for that. So this is even before the VAT. Once the certificate question is cleared, then you go to step two, VAT. You need to get at
yeah,
least one VAT in Europe, and the process to obtain a VAT takes 2, sometimes 4 months. And of course, this is
yeah,
what Hello Tax does. We specialize in registering for the VATs, filing the reports on behalf of the sellers, and we have a software which allows you to connect to Amazon. We pull all the data at Hello Tax, we file the reports, and you just forget about it. So it's really simple. We do that for small brands, we do that for agencies, for aggregators. So anybody who is selling in Europe, not only Amazon, also Shopify and other sellers, any company who is selling physical products is a good client for Hello Tax. Then once we start the VAT application process, until you're waiting for that, we're going to connect you with our customs and logistics partners because you need to bring your stock to Europe. And obviously, you
Yeah.
need to arrange that. So we have a partner for that. Once you have the VAT ready, or actually, if I'm exact, like few weeks before you get the VAT ready, it's good to talk with the localization and translation agency. I have few close partners who are doing that, who are gonna make your translations for your listings in your
Yeah.
products by like native like translators, because a German cannot translate like a Japanese like listing, even though, and like you need to have a native speaker. Otherwise, I mean, you can use the Amazon tool. Right now, ChatGTP is helping a lot with that, but still, it's always good to use an agency. So, because if your listing is not good, people are not going to buy your stuff. If you're not selling, you would not need VAT eventually. So, everything falls apart. So, that's very important. Product compliance,
Yeah.
VAT, customs and logistics, obviously, no, and the localization and translation. So, these are the 5 steps that you need to undertake to make the next step in Europe. Of course, eventually you can use an agency. There is a lot of agencies that we recommend, but the first 5 steps are very important because if you don't set them up properly, you might get in trouble. Amazon are not going to allow you to set up an account without a VAT. So that's the truth. You have no choice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Nick, let's say, I mean, as you said that you need to send the inventory to the European marketplace, to these European countries. I mean, is there an Amazon program as well which would just send the inventory there, or you have to use just a local freight forwarder for doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have a partner for that, like a logistics partner who can help with the import. The other thing is you can use Amazon, but you need to have somebody to import your stock, and Amazon doesn't deal with that. So they're gonna obviously can put the stock in the FBA, but you need somebody else to clear the customs and to do all this kind of stuff, and that's why you need the part. The other thing, which is very important for a lot of people who don't know, I mean, if obviously you're an US seller, you have an advantage. For example, in Germany, when you do the VAT registration, they don't need you to translate the documents. They accept documents in English. So this is very
Yeah.
important. This would apply also to any English speaker. So it's easier for them. This is the first thing. The second thing is, in Germany, there is a specific tax authority which deals with US only VAT applications. So if you're based in the USA, you're going to get the VAT quicker than, let's say, somebody who is based in UK, which is funny, but this is the case. So from all the non-EU companies, the US companies have an advantage. They get the VAT quicker because there is a specific tax authority which deals with their application. Another thing, Germany is the third biggest market. So Amazon US, Amazon Japan, Germany. So they're the biggest market in Europe. So you should start there. They also are good because they don't require fiscal representation. Fiscal representation
Okay.
is an insurance which some country apply to non-EU companies, which means that you need to pay an extra fee. Is an insurance that if you don't pay your VAT, they're gonna cover that. This is another good thing because since July 2021, Amazon is the so-called DIMSA par, and the DIMSA part are required to collect the VAT on behalf of the seller. So the sellers just need to get the VAT. One VAT is enough to start selling in Europe. Then Amazon is going to collect their VAT if they're non-EU, and the only thing Hell
Yeah.
Tax would need to do is just file the reports for them.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, this is what you need. You can use Germany as a base. You can set up your store there, and you can sell across the whole Amazon marketplace across Europe, just from one location. This is very important because if you do that, you don't need to do multiple VATs. Of course, you're gonna pay more for shipping, higher fees, but this would allow you to validate which markets are good for you, because if they're not, you would need to change something. You need to optimize your listing, change your sales pitch or whatever. And once you validate that, you would be able to set up like FBA in other markets in Europe. But this is the smart and the cheapest way to start. one VAT in Germany, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on that part. Do you recommend people to, let's say if there's somebody who's doing Amazon USA on an LLC, do you recommend businesses or companies to also register a company in the country? Let's say if they want to sell in the Europe, why not just making a limited company and then doing that? Because do you think that this will be an advantage? Like if it's a non-EU company and if they are coming to sell in the, let's say in the UK, they would have to pay 20% VAT, regardless. But it's possible for them to just open a UK marketplace and then open a UK limited company, and in that way, at least they would be able to leverage the tax exemptions, this 85,000 threshold as well. What would you say on that? Do you think it's good to have, different companies for each marketplace, or do you think it's
No,
okay to
no.
just have US LLC?
You,
Yeah,
you don't need to register a company in Europe to sell on Amazon. So
yeah,
if you want to
but
go into like more bureaucracy, you can do that.
yeah,
Actually, the one of the easiest solution for anybody to do that is in Estonia. Estonia, they have a program called e-residency, and you can register a company remotely in Estonia. But to
okay,
but but to be honest, you don't need to have, to register a company, to sell in Europe. You can set up, you get the VAT with your details from your company in the USA or anywhere outside of Europe. You don't need to do that. You obviously you get in more like bureaucracy, and this is one thing that you need to avoid. Because just imagine, if you have a registration in multiple markets in Europe, you would need to hire an accountant in each market. Each country has a
yeah,
different legislation, so you need to pay like an accountant in each market. Annual, like tax returns. That's complete bullshit. No, nobody should do that. You just need one VAT. That's it. This is an e-commerce store. You don't need to set up your a company or anything. And exactly when you ask for the VAT import, when you actually import, you're gonna pay the VAT. After that, when you file the returns, you're gonna get the VAT returned. So that's something that we do at Hello Tax. So you don't need to have a company for that. And you
okay,
mentioned UK. UK might be a good option, but UK is outside of EU, so you can fulfill orders from the UK to Europe, but you're gonna avoid customs only if your products are under 150 euro sale price, and
okay.
that's why we recommend Germany. It's central location in Europe, biggest market in Europe, so it's no brainer to be honest, and that's where most companies go. They can go to UK and Germany, but if you ask me for my opinion, I would recommend always Germany first.
All right. Okay, so Nick, what's the difference? I mean, selling in the Europe Amazon on an LLC rather than just a limited company. Is there like the person who has a company, who has a limited company and selling in the Europe would have some tax advantage? Maybe they might have some input VAT that they might be able to claim, or the non-USA company, or I should say the LLC company, the company, the non-EU company would have to pay the flat 20% VAT. Is there anything like that, or it's just
Honestly,
yeah?
honestly, I have no idea how it works with the AOC and AOTD, because you don't need to
Okay,
set up a company in Europe. So that's something that is not our expertise. I have partners who actually deal with registering like incorporations of companies, but this is something that we don't need to sell in Europe. So that's why we never discuss that. This is not a requirement. No, you might discuss that with your accountant in your home country if that is gonna save you anything. But as far as selling in Europe, you don't need to set up a entity here.
yeah. The reason I'm saying is because the people who have seen that, like if we are selling in the UK, okay, let's say that's where we do most of the business for our clients. So if somebody is selling in the UK, he would have a limited company. But when he wished to go to the USA, we ask him to make an LLC, and then on Amazon USA he would sell using LLC. Otherwise he would have to pay VAT on the sales. So for that reason, for somehow we might be wrong, but for that reason we like to have like if we are selling in Amazon USA, we'd like to have an LLC. For the UK, we like to have it limited. So yeah, that's why I was talking a
Yeah,
bit on that.
I have another partner who runs a company like Hello Tax, but for the States. The company is called
Okay.
Ampersand. They provide sales tax compliant, incorporation, all this kind of stuff. So he would have all the questions for that. But since I've never sold in the USA, And to be honest, I mean, that's
Yeah.
not my expertise. I cannot tell what you need for the USA. No, I know that it's much easier because Amazon is dealing with a lot of the stuff, but in regards to incorporations, registrations, I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So overall, talking about the Germany, how does is there any exemption as well that if you stay there below, let's say 10,000 euro, then you don't need to pay VAT, or how does the
No, no.
legislation of the taxation looks like in Germany?
I mean, for example, if you store goods in any country, not only Germany, in Europe, you must
Yeah.
have a VAT. So there is no other way around. So
And
VAT is
what's
a
the
must.
17%?
Sorry?
What's the percentage, VAT percentage in Germany?
I need to check. I mean, the average is around 20%, but I'm not sure exactly how much it is. I have a list, but I need to pull it up. I think the most expensive is in Hungary,
Okay.
27%, but in Germany it's around 20. I'm not sure, to be honest. I need to check, but it's roughly around 20%. But
Okay.
the 10% thing the 10,000 euro that you mentioned, this is a different thing. This is the so-called one-stop shop. This is
Okay.
something which you shouldn't worry if you're a non-new company selling on Amazon, because Amazon is going to use their own one-stop shop registration to fulfill orders. So you don't need to do that. This is only if you sell on Amazon. However, if you sell outside of Amazon, let's say on Shopify, and you would like to have one storage, let's say in Germany, it might be like a 3PL. In this case, to sell and make deliveries to clients, to B2C clients across the European Union, you need to have the OSS. And this is how it works. You have the VAT in Germany. You're selling on
Okay.
Amazon. So Amazon, it's all clear. Amazon collects the VAT. We file the
Okay.
reports. So it's all good. You also have a 3PL, and you're selling from on Shopify. You have clients, let's say in Spain, in Italy, whatever. So once you hit 10,000 euro for these sales, you would need to
Okay.
register for OSS. And the OSS is the so-called one-stop shop registration, which allows you to sell from one location to multiple countries in Europe. And you're going to do the OSS registration in Germany again. Where is your VAT? You're going to do the quarterly reports there. And you can deliver to everybody across the European Union. But this is very important, because if you don't register for the OSS, you will be forced to register for VATs in the other market. So one VAT, obviously, where you store goods, you hold your stock there. Then, if you sell outside of Amazon, on Shopify, any
Yeah.
marketplace or a platform which is not the so-called DIM supplier, you would need to get the OSS there, and this is how you can sell across the whole European Union without the need to do more than one VAT. So this is the easiest and the cheapest solution.
Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, Nick, it's been 23 minutes already. It's been we have to keep this podcast short because generally this is what public want. It was really nice having you and a lot of good stuff. Really hope to have you back on the show on some other day. Thank you so much for joining. It was really awesome having you.
Thank you, Lee. It was nice and short and sweet, as I like the podcast. So it was good. And I hope that you're going to have some of my partners who are on the show, because no, there's other topics that I cannot. I'm not an expert at. So
Awesome.
thanks for
So
inviting me again.
also, where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I know I post a lot of stuff there. I'm very active there. And also, you can check us out at hellotax.com if you need VAT in Europe. And if you're a brand or a service provider, you can check us out at extremepowerbrands.com. You'll see that in the description. So this is
Yeah.
how you can get in touch with me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was
Thanks
awesome.
again, man. Enjoy the evening. Bye bye.